So, Chapter 8 of The Mystery at the Manor, The Burglary. "It's such a beautiful evening," said Nana, "that we were wondering if you'd fancy a walk down the quayside at Malden. There's always lots to see there at this time of the day, with those big barges as they're coming to tie up and unload, and there's a good fish and chip shop nearby." They all thought that it was an excellent plan, and as soon as they had put their things away they began piling into the car. Gramps asked Pip to tie the awning down as he was the last one out. They certainly had a lovely time, and finished their trip with a drink of orange on the tables right next to the quayside. But all too soon it was time to go back to the caravan site. As Pip and Beth were getting out of the car, Nana shouted over to them. For once she was really quite cross. "Didn't your Gramps ask one of you two to fasten the awning down properly? It hasn't been tied at all, and we always leave the caravan secure when we drive off site." "But Nana," said Pip, "I did tie it down." "You can't have done. It's just been zipped. The strings haven't even been slotted through their holes," Nana insisted. "But—" began Pip. "No buts," said Gramps. "If you had tied it down correctly, like I showed you, it couldn't have worked loose. Take more care another time." Pip looked annoyed, but thought it was better not to say any more. Still, he knew he had done the job properly. It rather spoiled the day's outing for him. Beth could tell that he was unhappy about it, but she thought that perhaps the knot hadn't been quite right. After all, she remembered the supposedly permanent knot that he had tied when they were fishing that hadn't lasted very long. A little while later she went into her room to get her drawing things out. She reached into the bedside cabinet, where she always kept them, but they didn't seem to be there. She had to kneel down and reach much further than she expected, but there they were, right at the back of the cupboard. She was sure she never pushed them so far in. "There's a funny smell in here," Nana was saying to Beth as she walked into the lounge. "Yes, I noticed it too," said Gramps. "It almost smells as though someone who smokes has been here." He looked across at the children, a smile on his face. "I don't suppose either of you have taken up smoking, have you?" he asked. "I don't think it's anything to joke about," said Nana. "It must be something outside, that's all I can think." Later Pip and Beth were discussing the fact that he really had fastened the awning properly, and Beth told him how she was sure she had left her bag in a different place than that she'd found it when they came back. "It's odd," said Pip. "And then there was that weird smoky smell in the lounge. You don't think someone could have been here while we were at Malden, do you?" "No, of course not," said Beth. "At least, why would anybody come in? What would they be looking for? I've got nothing special in my bag." "No, I don't think it could be that. We're just imagining it, of course. No one has been in, have they?" said Pip. But as they looked at each other they could tell that the other one was thinking it through. "What could they want?" asked Pip. "Do you think it might be that chest we found?" asked Beth. "But it's not even here," said Pip. "And we haven't shown it to anyone," said Beth. "Not even to Nana and Gramps," said Pip. "Yes, but—" Beth hesitated. "What else could anybody be looking for? Unless— what about that strange guy in the little caravan, Shadow? He seems to be watching everything all the time. I even caught him spying late at night. Perhaps he saw us when we found it. Perhaps it's valuable and he thought we must have brought it back here." "I don't know," said Pip. "Perhaps we're overreacting. Although I know that I really did tie those fasteners properly when we went out. Someone must have undone them. But why? Unless it was to come inside," finished Beth. "Has anyone seen my reading book?" asked Nana as they wandered back into the lounge. "I'm sure I left it just on top of that pile on the shelves." "Which one was it?" asked Gramps. "The one with the red cover," she answered. "But that's over there by the window," said Beth, pointing to it, but looking straight at Pip. "That's odd. Are you really sure that you left it over there on the shelves?" Pip asked. "Well, I thought I did. What are you thinking? That I'm getting forgetful in my old age? Asked Nana. No, but, said Pip, well, it's not the only thing that seems different tonight. That's right, said Beth. My drawing bag was not quite where I left it. Then there was that funny smell, said Pip. And what about the awning? Asked Gramps. You were sure that you'd fastened it properly, weren't you, Pip? And yet, why should it be open when we get back unless someone's been in here while we were at Malden? But who could have got in, and what on earth did they want? Asked Nana. Nothing actually seems to be missing, does it? As to how they got in, the awning isn't hard to get into, but to move things in here and in Beth's room would mean someone had to break into the caravan. The only window that's open is the tiny one in the kitchen, which no one could surely use to climb in, said Gramps. But I don't suppose it's too hard to pick a caravan lock. They might even have found where we keep the spare key. That just leaves this. What on earth were they looking for? There are strange goings on over there sometimes, he said, glancing over towards the small caravan. Pip and Beth looked at one another and realised that it was probably time for them to tell all that they knew, and so between them they told the whole story of their find under the bridge. Even though it was well into the evening by now, as soon as Nana and Gramps heard about the chest, they decided they should all walk over to the den and bring it back to this caravan for safekeeping. After a quick look at the box in the den, Gramps said that he was very impressed with the carving and the clever way that the box fitted together. But the light's beginning to fade, he continued, so we'll have to wait until we get back to the caravan to have a proper look at that book. Eventually they were all sitting round the table, and Gramps took delight in opening the chest and taking out the book. It's a bit difficult to read, said Beth, looking at Pip meaningfully. He realised that she was waiting for him to take the lead, and so he asked Nana if she could read the diary to them. She was only too pleased. In fact, she'd been dying to have a look, and had been hoping that they would suggest it. She turned to the first page, looked carefully at the illustration, and was obviously as impressed as Beth had been. Well, I never, she whispered. It's just like the monks used to do. She turned the next page, and this is what she read. Oh, we must wait for the next chapter.